we're going to talk about how the root chakra is really the core and the foundation of your ability. Oh, well, guess what? I'm live now. Okay. Exactly at 1:30. That is so strange. Hi, everybody. Okay. All right. So we're live on YouTube. Let me make the video. 1 second. Oh, very strange. Okay, got it. Go to my YouTube studio. Maybe there's a time. It says public. Hi, everybody. Please bear with me. We're having really interesting technical issues. If you're on YouTube, it says the video is private. If anybody, can anybody go to YouTube? If you guys can help me out, if anybody can go to YouTube and just see if it's public. Oh, it is public. Okay. Okay, great. Okay. All right. Hello, everybody. Let's continue. Times 3, third time. Okay, so today we are talking about the root chakra. The root chakra is really at the core of your manifestation. There are two main energy centers that the body is distributing the largest hold of creative energy. The first part is your crown. Your crown is the center of manifestation that takes the non-physical into the physical. It projects. The root chakra is a very interesting system. It actually takes all of our ancestral lineage, everything that we are in the earth DNA, and translate that into the manifestation. So these two centers, the crown and the root chakra, function as a system of communication between the physical and the non-physical. Okay. And I'm going to go into that in just a minute. Let's begin. Let's get started, guys. If you guys have questions, please go ahead and put them in capital letters in the chat. I'm going to mute everybody, please, just so we can focus on what we're going to be discussing here today. So let's go ahead and do that. All right. So we're going to talk about the root. Now, we did the sacral really in depth. We talked about the biology of the sacral. So let's talk about the root. When we're discussing the root, we are talking about the most primordial life force in the body. Okay. And when the root chakra is harmonized, it's where all of our creative potential, your primordial life force. Now we talked about the 3 dantians, the upper, the middle, and the lower. The root chakra is the foundation of the lower chakra. But in reality, if the lower chakra is not integrated, we don't really have access to these higher levels. And here's why. The root chakra is in charge of processing the most densest frequencies that your body is processing, okay? And the amount of familiarity that you have with these most dense frequencies depends on your ancestral lineage, how deep we've gone into the lower levels of our aspects of ourselves, and the most fractalized parts of us that are kept in the memory, in the genetic memory, the ancestral memory, and the Akashic record of your field. The earth, because it's the connection to the actual physical plane, the most densest elements of your matter, is intricately intercommunicating with this Akashic record, with this memory system of all your potential in this physical matrix. And so the human has to learn how to integrate the non-physical with this physical in order to create. And all of the limitations that the human has created for themselves in order to experience ascension and evolution, transmutation, it's essentially being guarded, held in this primordial energy. Now, you're also going to notice that your primordial energy, okay, your core energy is essentially your sexual energy. And I'm going to talk about why that is really important, especially for the masculine. The masculine being the divine feminine, and the feminine being the divine feminine. We're talking about those primordial energies that we manifest. And there is a biological element to that. And there are influences in our biology that will either help us sustain certain frequencies, and also the biology will limit certain frequencies that you can access as well, okay? Such as the divine feminine, for example, the woman is the womb. She brings that life into the body, okay? The masculine is the provider of that primordial life force. And that primordial life force, when it's inseminated, then that union is creating life. But each one of these two energies have different roles in how they sustain frequency and energy, how they sustain creative life force, okay? And from these original concepts of the divine feminine and masculine is where we get our ideas, our modern ideas, which are inversions of the pure manifestation of the divine feminine and masculine, about the roles that they're going to take. Okay, so the role that a man takes, the role that a woman takes, are kind of like very, very far off, distant, vague projections of actual essence of the feminine and masculine cultivation. And we have to kind of parse through that information that's kind of been brought into us through indoctrination, through these systems that have inverted the natural laws of co-creation in order to control. There's a lot of systems of control. And when the human goes dormant, it forgets these elements. When the human disconnects from nature, we forget what the divine feminine looks like, the role of the divine feminine and the role of the divine masculine. But the more we connect back with nature, the more that we begin to remember and recognize those roles. Okay, so that being said, this entire concept of the root is going to be very important for understanding. I also had a question from several people that were asking me, what do we do in order to clear and manifest monetary abundance? Well, these chakras that I'm talking about are actually, if you understand how to manage the energy in these centers, you can tap into abundance, to creation, because this is an exchange energy. And we talked about that in the sacral chakra. But if your root is fractalized, if you are not grounded, if you are not in the physical body integrated, you can't really even access a clear intention behind what you're putting in for your exchange, okay? Because money is exchange energy, sexual energy, it's creative life force. And everything that we're giving and receiving is part of these dynamics of life force. And you just have to learn how to use them. So the root chakra, let's talk about the root chakra. When the root chakra is harmonized, it's grounded, it's embodied. And this means that we're not just floating up here, as I mentioned many times in the classes. We're oftentimes outside of the body. We're actually afraid to be inside the body because some of us have gone through tremendous amount of trauma where it's very difficult. Oh, excuse me. It's very difficult to feel our emotions. We are afraid of feeling emotions. Okay. So this is something that we have to become aware of and help ourselves. So, stability. Okay, what does it mean to be stable? When we are stable, we are grounded, we are connected with our self, we understand how we are holding energy. And the stability really comes from a regulated nervous system and we're going to talk about the interconnection of the root chakra and the nervous system. It's really where the split begins. Okay, so when we have severe trauma, we become disassociated from the body because we don't want to embody, we don't want to incarnate fully. Okay, to be calm and centered is really what happens as a result of that regulated nervous system. Our ability to come back into the center core, to breathe through any kind of triggers and situations that are happening around us. And the sustaining of this nervous system in a state of calm and centered connectedness is where you cultivate a sense of safety. Okay. Now, what does it mean to be safe is something that we will do an entire class on, because in order for us to feel safe, we have to be okay with the unknown. That is really the alchemization and the mastery of the root chakra, is to be able to understand that you are not the body, you're not the emotions, you're not the temporary experiences that happen to you. You are actually this infinite potential life force, pure life force, that is essentially experiencing all kinds of experiences. And the purpose of that is that, well, the source is learning and experiencing through you. So this understanding, a clear understanding that you are not this body, that you are not the finite matter that dissolves into death, but this impermanent and infinite essence of energy that is experiencing all these potential things, is what will help you cultivate a trust in the world. Okay, trust in yourself, trust in the world, because many of us, we feel deeply betrayed with ourselves and with those outside of us, because at birth, at the time of gestation in the womb, we begin to feel the emotions through the physical body, and the physical body is for the feeling of those sensations, because this is how we feel contrast. If we didn't have something to feel, we would not feel contrast. If it was all energy, non-physical, not dense, then we wouldn't feel as threatened in our environment, and our lessons and our experiences will be on a different frequency. As you can see, many of you that are contactees or that have had interdimensional contact, a lot of these higher dimensional beings and the way that they evolve, the way that they grow, their lessons are on another frequency level. Okay, because they're more interdimensional, because they're less physical, their abilities to create life, their abilities to manifest are different. It's usually more instantaneous, which means that there's a lot more responsibility behind what they're thinking, feeling, sensing, knowing, and acting on. Okay, so that is a really huge thing. And the beauty about the human experience is that when the human begins to cultivate this trust, it creates this incredibly powerful network, bioelectrical network of manifestation. And literally, we can merge and create an entire universe, which is another human, a soul that is a vortex that is interconnected with other vortices, multiverses, really. That is the incredible potential of the human. But how we are creating that, if we continue to create suffering and inherit suffering, and then programs of contraction and disconnect, we are bridging and building those suppressions back into the human race. Okay, so the root chakra and the clarity around the root chakra, and what you're doing with this primordial creative energy, is at the crux of the journey of the human in its cultivation into its most majestic state of manifestation. An underactive chakra is fearful and anxious. Okay, so we fear everything around us. We fear ourselves. We fear our power. We fear death, which is one of the most paralyzing subconscious programs that the human has. And the fear of death, you might not realize how potent the fear of death actually is in your life. And I invite you in meditation, when you begin to uncover a lot of the things that make you angry and a lot of the things that make you fearful, if you sit with those two emotions, what you'll find is that it's all based in survival, which is essentially your ability to understand if this scenario is going to end up in death or not. And you might not realize that you fear death in the kind of fears that you have. For example, your fear might be that you lose your job. Well, subconsciously, the fear is that if you lose your job, you won't be able to pay the bills, you won't be able to sustain your family, be on the street, and essentially death. In the same of fearful of not finding, a partner, for example, in life. You fear not being loved, you fear being abandoned, you fear being lonely, and essentially, subconsciously, you fear that we will die alone without any support and die. Okay. So and then the other element of the fear of death is that we fear suffering. Okay, we fear that we will not have any control over the physical element of ourselves in the ability to transcend pain and suffering. And that is part of the human illusion, the matrix illusion. The idea that we cannot transcend pain is part of matrix programming, because actually the physical body has all of the biochemical, bioelectrical markers to be able to transcend pain and heal itself and regenerate itself. But the paralysis of those abilities are in the root chakra, because there's a split. When there's a split in the body between the higher self and the physical, the body cannot regenerate, the body cannot heal, the body cannot allow itself to come into a self-healing state. So actually, it's really powerful that we heal this root chakra, because it's actually where your abilities are. A lot of people think, abilities are only up here. Well, actually, the root is actually the manifestation of the integration of the, higher and lower physical. We feel disconnected. And this is one of the most important things, because when we are disconnected from ourselves, we are disconnected from the universe and from source. We don't know. People that are disconnected are always lost. They always look for religions, or they look for deities or gurus or people outside of them to give them guidance, intuition, tarot readings. I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with these things, but if we are not trusting our own internal guidance and we always look outside for that support, then we are in effect in our root chakra, because there's a disconnect between ourselves. Of course, they're interconnected to all the other chakras, sacral and solar, our ability to relate with ourselves, and of course, our creative life force. And then, of course, we get to financial difficulties. Okay. You see, if your subconscious programming is in survival, if all of your belief systems are rooted in some level of fear, the way that you relate with people, the way that you exist, the world that you live in, if you're afraid that the politicians are going to take over and take control of your life, if you're afraid of lockdowns, if you're afraid of the control systems of this world, we are giving away our creative power to very weak, temporary, external information. And so what happens is all of the depletion of your energy is infused into that. You are infusing the matrix and those filters with your belief systems, your core belief systems, which is what creates our subconscious belief systems. And remember, because the root chakra manages your ancestral history, it's all of the generations that have believed that we are disempowered, that we are, someone has control over us, and we go into these, crazy attachments to the identities of being a victim, which is exactly what we're going to talk about, because the wounded root is the perpetual victim. Okay, and that is a trap. It is a cage that completely limits the human's ability to manifest and co-create. Underweight, well, we'll talk about that, but essentially the concept is that when a human is depleting all of their energy because they live in fear, the human is so disconnected from their body that they cannot nourish themselves. They cannot feed this body, and bring health and vitality and the management of your life force, because we are fed and nourished in many different ways, but the first and most important way that the human is nourished is through life force. Your ability to manage life force energy, in which we exist in an abundant ocean of life force. It's all around us all the time. If you're sick right now, you can literally connect to the earth, eliminate the illness from the body, and bring up healing energy into your body. It doesn't matter if you're in a 20-foot high rise, 20 floor high rise, highest mountain, underground. You are surrounded by life force, and every living organism is a toroidal field of life force. It's a network of life force. I will even share with you that when I was in the corporate world, I felt like I was dying because I was inside of a cubicle all day, and it was just cement walls and lights, and my energy was just draining from me. My creativity was dying, and I used to have plants around me, and I would absorb the energy from the plants. That was something innate that I kind of tuned into even early on in my youth. So we innately have this connection to nature, and we innately know that when we go into nature, the body becomes regenerated, it becomes healed. So our ability to nourish the body with life force is a sign of consciousness, it's a sign of awareness. Okay, so an overactive root chakra, we are afraid of change. Okay, and it's one of the greatest lessons of all you astrological fixed signs that don't like to move, you don't like change. This is part of your archetypal lesson, your soul lesson, to learn how to transcend. Okay, and we, of course, all of us have little levels, different levels of that, but attachment, profound attachment to externalized energies, that causes a depletion of your energy. And of course, the fear of change is also embodied in the physical body. No, you know that the root chakra manages the lower body, and I will talk about the anatomy in just a second, but people that have problems with their hips, with their lower back, sexual issues, knees, joints, especially knees. Okay, I see this a lot for a lot of women, actually, women and men, that when they create, severe hormonal imbalances within them, it creates this rigidity around their ability to be flexible in their movement. And it's a severe fear of change. Okay, so the joints start to hurt, there's pain, and we are inflexible. The body is inflexible and the mind is inflexible. Okay, therefore your energy is inflexible, therefore we don't have abundance, we don't have financial fluidity in our exchange or sexual energy. Okay, hoarding or greed. Okay, so we might think that people that are hoarding are actually abundant, people that are greedy are actually holding on to so much, but actually it's one of the signs of complete lack mentality. Because what happens is, if you look at the energy body of somebody that hoards, it just looks like a tiny little thin line, and they are surrounded in a sea of objects, but it's the lack of cultivation of their own internal connection to the source, to their highest intuition, and to their manifestation. Okay, their ability to manifest. Sluggish and tired, just all the energy is depleted emotionally. Okay, there's no emotional balance. All the emotions are rooted in fear and survival. Humans that exist in a constant state of survival are very depleted. They age really quickly. They don't digest properly. They don't even get the nourishment from the food. So that's why we have eating issues and problems with weight, whether it's gaining or losing, depending on your relationship with yourself. You will either absorb the nourishment from the foods you're eating, or it will never be enough and you're still not absorbing the nourishments, right? So this is a constant disconnect from your body. And so that's why the root is so important for this kind of healing. Okay, so let's talk about this really quickly. If you go to the primordial life force of the energy, we are talking about the most powerful creative energy of the human. Okay. And the way that we hold this information within the root chakra is through our DNA. It manages the DNA of humans. Okay. The ability to understand the information that is passed down ancestrally through generations and generations. We're going to get into that in just a minute. So emotional symptoms of a blockages in the root chakra are, again, feeling unsafe, constant anxiety, constant anxiety. Now, the root chakra, when we have blockages and when you see the root chakra full of cords and heavy stagnant energy, these cords will go up into the sacral and into the solar plexus. You will see it in the body. The body will have a lot of cords that go from the root up to the solar plexus, and it'll bind the solar plexus. Okay, it'll paralyze the solar plexus, which is your house of empowerment. And a lot of times it'll be very difficult for the human to recognize their empowerment, their ability to come into power, because they're in a constant state of anxiety. Anxiety creates inflammation in the body, which creates a completely distorted immune system. And the suppression of the immune system causes all kinds of illnesses in the body, all based in fear, the disconnect of the body, disassociation, and panic attacks. Panic attacks can actually be very serious for the human. Okay, so we have to learn that when we are, and to be able to come out of a panic attack, we have to come back into the body. Okay, and it's a very interesting dynamic of our energy. It's when we completely disassociate with ourselves. This happens a lot in severe trauma, happens a lot when there's very powerful external events that make you lose your connection to yourself. You lost your connection to yourself. So this has to be brought in. And of course, existential crisis on a higher level, right? Who am I? You completely lose your identity. You completely lose your trust in yourself. Okay, so that's pretty severe. And a lot of these things are results of very toxic exchanges with other people. Okay, you can see this a lot in narcissistic family structures, narcissistic relationships, okay, where there is a tremendous imbalance in the way that energy is exchanged in a family unit. There will be, a major disconnect. The children will grow up without a disconnect, with a disconnect to themselves, which of course results in low self-esteem. Okay, so the questions that we want to ask for us in the healing process, and I want you to ask these questions in your meditation as you're beginning to observe what kind of programs you're holding in the root chakra. Okay, what is your relationship with feeling at home? Okay, if a lot of you, if most of your life you felt disconnected from your house, your family, okay, if you felt like you didn't resonate with any of your family members, this creates a really huge disconnect with yourself. And a lot of times this is something that has to be really cultivated and healed and reintegrated. Okay, what is your relationship with safety? What does it mean to be safe for you? This tends to happen a lot for women, but we underestimate how much it happens for men, because our men in this society, in this world, a lot of times we haven't grown with a father as a result of wars, as a result of all of these imbalanced understandings of the role of the divine masculine, the inversion of the role of the divine masculine, where we equate power and control with the masculine. Actually, the divine masculine is meant to sustain space, to hold creation. Okay, to hold creation. And that, in an intuitive connection, is really a very subtle art that the man is designed to hold. And we don't learn that in our society. In our society, all of our holding of energy is for the survival, but we don't understand the connection and the difference between survival and creation. It's completely different, departments of energy. So your relationship with safety, when men grow up without an example of that, they also feel extremely unsafe. And that's when you go into toxic masculinity, okay, the inability to hold groundedness in yourself, in your body, and a certain initiation that is necessary for the man, subconsciously, in order to grow from this childlike state into this holding of energy, something that was cultivated a lot more in indigenous groups and ancient civilizations. Okay, and it's the same for the female. But those again were inverted and used in wrong things like sexual rituals and practices that actually took away the power of the woman rather than the cultivation of her sexual energy. So our relationship with safety is extremely important because, again, the safety that we need to understand is one that you are this infinite being, that regardless if you're a man or a woman, you are an infinite soul of infinite potential. Okay. Your relationship with stability. Okay. So are you used to chaos in your life? And this is deeply correlated with biochemical addiction, because we are usually, when we're not stable and when we're not used to stability, we are deeply affected and addicted to chemical substances. And we look for addictions, whether it's alcohol, drugs, whatever, or we ourselves are addicted to drama and our own trauma. We are just completely addicted to that. Okay. So we want problems. We need problems in order to feel alive. We need problems in order to feel useful. We need problems in order to feel safe. Okay. These are the inversions of our understanding of safety and stability. What is your relationship with being in your body? If you don't want to be in your body, you don't like your body, you hate yourself, you reject yourself, you judge yourself, these are all the fractalization of the root chakra. Okay. And we're going to do our meditation today where we're going to start to reintegrate this root chakra. But essentially, the more that we integrate the root chakra, the more you bring yourself into the body. And again, the root is where the split happens. The divine essence separate in order to experience separation. Okay. So to conquer and to master the energies of the root and the perception, the filter of your perception into this reality, we have to reunite that back into, this understanding. So family ancestral lineage, as I mentioned, what are the programs that are running in your ancestral lineage? You have to know this. You have to take the time to deep dive into the programs that you're running in order to get clear about these programs. Okay. Grounded foundation. What is the foundation of your life? If the foundation of your life is, again, rooted in things that are material and external, then you have a very weak foundation. Okay. If you begin to alchemize the physical matrix to the connection to the source, now you start to create a very strong foundation. Okay. Your lineages, again, what is going down in the history of your lineage is more suffering and trauma passed down through the generations, or is it about the cultivation of your higher faculties, intuition? Is it more about connecting with the divine? Okay. And then, of course, your connection to the lower body. And people underestimate how important this is, because we're not just talking about grounding. We are talking about grounding, but the other part is that a lot of you don't even know what your ankle is doing right now. Okay. That is a lack of awareness. In the schools of learning how to cultivate awareness, we connect with the entire body as a whole. And you won't understand how important it is to connect to your ankle, for example, because every single part of your body is processing information in different ways. And we are a multi-sensory, multi-dimensional organism of navigation. Okay, so this is where we are kind of working with this energy. And the disconnect to your lower body is the disconnect to an entire part of your universe. Okay. Your relationship with fear, of course, does it run your life? Where is it in your life? How much of your personality, how much of your behaviors, the way that you hold your energy, the way that you contract your body, the way that you speak to people, the way that you hold space energetically, how much of that is rooted in fear and how much is it rooted in empowerment? Okay, body language speaks a million words. Okay, so it's helping us understand the way we feel about ourselves and the way we feel about others. The core programs of separation from source, the idea that we are not a creator, that we are a victim of our environment. And of course, the relationship with your ego, okay? Because the ego is the identity. It is the one that is experiencing the separation. And the concept of the annihilation of the ego, that's not what we're trying to do. We're not trying, you cannot annihilate the ego. The ego is the one that processes the physical environment, okay? Through separation understanding, through the experience of being more of a dense physical matter. Okay, so we have to heal the relationship with the ego and integrate that, be that, navigate through this separation from the higher perspective. Abandonment and loneliness, that there's tremendous amount of fear around abandonment. We are afraid of being abandoned and we are afraid of loneliness and disconnect. So these core belief systems are ones that we have to heal. And I see it a lot in men, a lot in men. There's a lot of deep rooted subconscious belief systems of abandonment from the mother, abandonment from the father, because in our society, we don't hold space for each member of our family. We actually just, we say, okay, well, they're old enough. Old age has nothing to do with the maturing of a soul that understands its environment. And as a society, we don't spend time educating ourselves about this environment and what it takes to navigate it, because it's a multidimensional system of co-creation, and we spend very little in that awareness. So victim identity, anytime that you begin to feel completely victimized by your environment, victimized by yourself, victimized by others, this is the depletion of your life force. And victimization actually is in charge for creating such a depletion of life force in your primordial energy. So we cannot create, and we don't believe that we can create. We believe we have no choice, that we're trapped. So all people that are operating in this mindset that, the government has absolute power over us, or, there's no way out and there's no way to control the things that are happening around us, or even, ET beings or interdimensional beings have any kind of level of control over you, that is completely not true. Nobody can access your energetic space without your permission. Okay, so subconsciously, the parts of us that are addicted to the drama, as I mentioned earlier, the ones that, are not okay with stability, that are not okay with being in the body, that have a severed concept of safety, are usually the ones that want to attach to these identities of being victimized by something external, whether it's a God being, an angelic being, whatever it is, reptilians, draconians, government, all of these programs have to be alchemized. And it's something that's part of our evolutionary process, okay? Let me actually come here, because let's talk about biologically what happens when the root chakra is blocked, okay? What happens essentially is that we completely block our understanding of free will, and the blocking of free will, because we feel trapped and we give our power away, is actually one of the most important elements of humans' ascension. If you don't believe that you have free will, or that you cannot access free will, you will feel disempowered, and your ability to manifest will completely deplete from your body. You will be codependent on others and on the system, and you will never be able to access this identity of the self. So we need to understand that free will is the absolute most important part of humanity, even though we exist in a very interdependent system in which, our free will, is occurring in layers. We are a product of many master systems in which, the way that we have free will is only accessed when we access the 0 point, okay? Otherwise, we are repeating. We are repeating patterns, ancestral patterns, systematic patterns, matrix patterns. And there is no essence. Your essence has no voice. Your essence has no energy for creation. So that has to be animated by the unification of your mind, body, and soul. You have to link those. The greatest fear and the product of this kind of blocked free will is that you feel that you have no freedom. And this is a very, very, very unfortunate state to exist in. It's a state of depression. It's a state of paralysis. Okay. And the body literally will manifest that paralysis as an illness, as, problems with your joints, with your bones, with your body, in a way that the body starts to get hard, and a lot of back pain issues, all kinds of problems in the body are a result of this. And we talked about fear of death. The primary element in the physical body that begins to emerge is a fear of annihilation of the ego. And this is actually one of the most interesting initiations for humanity. When they begin to integrate or alchemize the fear of the annihilation of the ego, this is where we start to understand and expand our perception, in that we're not just a physical body, or we're not an identity or a personality. We're actually this infinite potential. And that's something that takes maturity and courage to embody. It's not just an idea that we can just simply adopt, because in your body, through the nervous system, you have to regulate your nervous system in order to not be triggered by the things that are occurring external to you. So that is something that is cultivated in the body through the nervous system. Okay. Let's talk about the archetypes of the root chakra, the densest form of separation, which is grounded in the material world and the most dense of matter. The archetypes is the victim and the mother. Okay, the pure creation energy. Okay, the ability to nourish, to take care of life, sensitivity, harmony, balance, and vigilance. These core energies of being able to feel safe in vulnerability, to be able to care for other life, not just self-serving. This is all here within the root chakra. If a root chakra is completely fractalized and broken and out of balance, usually this individual is running by service to self. This is where the reptilian brain operates. The reptilian brain has a direct connection to the root chakra, and I'll talk about that in just a minute. Okay, so we cannot experience harmony. Because harmony is our ability to understand ourselves as others. We are a reflection of each other. We are, these natural cosmic bodies. And the archetype of victim, being a victim, you are reliant on the external world. Oops. The external world is the one that is in charge of your power. Okay, we encompass states of helplessness, fear, and disempowerment. Those are all the archetypes of the root chakra. So take a look and see, how much do you embody that? How much do you play that out in your life, in your relationships, in your dynamics? How much of that turns into manipulation in your relationships? Okay, so let's talk about the root chakra, which is directly connected with your reptilian brain, which is the center of survival. Okay, so all the primal parts of the human psyche, subconscious mind, that is accessing their survival mechanisms, your fight, flight, or freeze mechanisms, are here. And you will notice the connection between the sciatic nerve. Okay, it's very interesting. A lot of my clients that come to me with sciatic nerve problems, and I've even experienced it myself, as a result of these deep programs of being unsafe or being victimized by something, is completely embodied in the body in this way. Okay, so that is something that we have to completely alchemize. Of course, the lower parts of the body, which is the testicles for the men, the ovaries for the female. Okay, what's happening there? Okay, so all of those parts are affected because, again, it's your primordial energy. And what is inside your primordial energy? What's inside the semen? It's the DNA, the ancestral history that is passed down through the body. Now, another important thing is that when our reptilian brain is completely processing all of these survival mechanisms, our vision and our emotional body is completely blocked. Okay. In addition, the connection between this reptilian brain and the vagus nerve, okay, the vagus nerve, which the vagus nerve has been named as the spiritual connection, as our spiritual connection to source, because it is what interconnects this incredible system of spiritual intuitive faculty and the nervous system of the body. And it is connected to every single major organ in your body, going down the spine into the parasympathetic nervous system. Okay, so if we are in a state, it's obvious, if you are in a state of survival, your nervous system is directly affected, so it's managed by that. In addition to that, there's a profound connection of the vagus nerve going into the heart. What does that mean? The heart chakra representing your coherence, your ability to feel interconnected to all beings, your ability to love. Okay, so it contracts the magnetic field of the heart. So when your root chakra is blocked, fragmented, overactive, underactive, it's going to block the magnetic field of the heart. The human cannot even open their heart. They cannot feel love. They are not familiar with love. This is a serious thing for health, especially if you are in a state of illness, then this is something that has to be addressed immediately. You need to remove yourself from the state of fear into a state of higher consciousness. The alpha and the omega, okay, the perineum, I'm going to get into that in just a second, but the perineum at the base of the spine is the center of life force energy, of primordial life force. When this center is blocked, and it usually becomes blocked by inverted sexual energy. So, feelings of lust, anytime your sexual energy is leaked from your body, anytime you're externalizing pleasure, it completely calcifies your ability to move energy in that perineum. Perineum is very important. And for the same for the female, but it's about creativity and creative life force. Okay. And it's a complete paralysis of the creative system of the body. The connection between the perineum and the crown, as I mentioned earlier, you cannot anchor into the physical co-creation when the root chakra is completely blocked. It is an overactive reptilian brain that paralyzes the parasympathetic nervous system, the heart function, and the lower body connection. Okay? There's a disconnect between the merge of that. So look at the concepts of the different parts of the brain. This is such a beautiful image here to help us understand how the human is evolving in the axis of the parts of the brain which they are cultivating more within their everyday life, right? If you are constantly in states of resistance, which is what the root chakra is about, you resist everything. You resist new experiences. You resist yourself. You resist life. You resist creation. You resist fear, you resist pain, okay? You resist the feeling of pain. You want to avoid that pain. So that takes a lot of work, a lot of creative life force and blocking. So if you are operating from here, the root chakra, it's all about trust. You have a very low trust. You have low trust in yourself, trust in others. You're operating from the skeptical mind. The skepticism is important for us when combined with logic and higher logic. But if the skepticism is blocking your ability to access into a higher physical awareness, then you block yourself from your higher abilities. Okay. The higher brain, the higher mind that comes into be more of the experiencer, the one that wants to experience this infinite potential, now cultivates a higher trust. And the higher trust is with the self, nothing else. The trust is not externalized. It is projected into a trusting environment with others. But your trust is in yourself, first and foremost. That's how you cultivate trust. And from that trust, from that 0 point that is created by that trust, is the co-creation which emerges. Okay. So lower chakra consciousness is a very contracted energy. These emojis are just all over my screen. Okay, so let's talk about primordial life force. Primordial life force is the primordial energy that originated everything. It is the reality, time, space, life, death, matter, energy, and every possible and impossible concept existing and non-existing in the omniverse. From a single particle to the infinite. So let's take a look at this, this called the microcosmic orbit, which is taught in, well, Chinese medicine, Taoist practices, and also pranic healing and acupuncture. These ancient studies of the energy runways in the body, such as the meridian lines, which have been studied for generations and centuries, help us map out how energy runs through the body. The universe is inside the physical body. Each one of the chakra bodies is connected with different planets. The root chakra is connected with Mars. Okay. So taking a look at how we hold energy inside the bodies, anytime that any one of these chakras is operating out of balance, we block the flow of this universal energy through the body. Earth life force, primordial life force. So as I mentioned, the perineum here at the base of the body, the base of the very, it's in between the anus and the front sexual organ. Okay. So that little part there is the doorway of your primordial energy grounding into this physical realm. Okay. So this part of the body is actually incredibly connected to the crown. It's one organism here, in the same way that the sexual organ is connected with the throat, in the same way that the emotional body connecting with the heart. Each one of these systems are interconnected, interrelated, intercommunicating constantly. Okay, so our ability to open the doorway of life, by the way, the Ming Men at the sacral chakra, which is the one that brings life into the system, is blocked. So the very first matter, the atom that was created, or Adam, as they say, the first human on this planet, the first particle of matter that experienced separation from infinite potential, is something that anatomically we hold in our body. It is the first representation of being separate from the source. And our job, in order to alchemize and to master this system of creation in the root chakra, is to remember and reunify ourselves with the higher aspect of ourselves. Okay, very good. So what else do I want to talk about here? I'm going to pause for a moment and I'm going to go into questions. And then we're going to jump into our meditation. So let me just grab this and stop the share. Very good. I see some questions in the chat. Charles says, how do we know we are harmonized and balanced? Is there a certain percentage we are in? What if we are not, but we think we are? So yeah, that's a really good question, Charles. How we hold harmony, it's really it's your ability to access peace in your body, okay, and how you can sustain peace. Peace is not just an emotion, a feeling like feeling good. Peace is actually a state of consciousness and a state of being. Every single chakra is a different state of consciousness that the human has the potential of experiencing. Okay, that's why when we have one chakra more open than the other, our consciousness is either limited or it's expanded by the work in that system. So to understand harmony means that we are harmoniously exchanging from a peaceful perspective, that the events that we're doing, they do not trigger us in any way. The relationships are not triggering in any way. that our thoughts and our emotions are congruent and they have integrity. We are expressing that in integrity in our everyday lives. So to live out of peace, perhaps it's easier to explain the out of peace. The out of to exist out of peace is that everything is chaos. We are in a constant state of strain and struggle and disconnect from the self. And we understand that our peace emerges from the reconnection to your higher faculties and your higher vision. When we are constantly externalizing our power and looking external for guidance, for support, for clarity, for direction, this is the disconnect from the higher self. So there cannot be peace, because to depend on another in that manner, in such an important manner, we are completely rejecting the self. We are neglecting, we are abandoning this self. Okay. So that has to be cultivated. The cultivation by trusting your intuition every moment. Okay, so do you trust your intuition? Do you connect with your intuition? And when you connect to your intuition, do you go into a panic mode and then doubt and fear? Or do you go into a state of harmony, which means that you have an expansive heart? So let me put it this way. Bioelectrically, you have an expanded heart. Okay, to exist in a state of harmony and balanced state, you have a regulated nervous system, which means that you're not easily triggered by the things that are external to you. Doesn't mean that you're numbed out all the time. That's not what that means. It means that you are aware and you are consciously utilizing your free will. So that would be another point, is that to be harmonized in harmony and balance is to understand that you are operating from a place of free will. So you are making the choices from you from a higher perspective, which means that you are in harmony with yourself and you are in harmony with all things outside of you. I wouldn't I think our multidimensional bodies are too complex in order to try to look at things in percentages. Percentages is a very it's a very limiting thing, actually. Okay, because remember that this existence is cyclical, and even when you get to the highest level, we're still experiencing cyclically, the things that need to be experienced for your evolution. And sometimes we are repeating ancestral programs at higher levels every lifetime. Okay, so let's say we had an ancient aspect of ourselves that betrayed themselves as a wizard in a past life. Okay, the next lifetime, they're a nun. Then they still don't trust themselves. They still don't trust themselves. Next lifetime, they're American Indian connected with the earth. They begin to kind of understand, but still don't trust themselves. Then they're born into this lifetime. Then they're put into all kinds of challenges in this lifetime in which they cannot access that higher self, that intuition. So if this individual begins to, heal and integrate these parts of themselves, excuse me, into an ability to really access and trust those abilities, we are learning on higher octaves. And even when you embody a higher octave of yourself in a higher dimension, there's still an opportunity to be able to integrate these lessons in a very powerful way. I hope that answers the question. Yeah. How do we heal that root womb trauma of terror, loss, attachment, resistance? Also, how do we heal the interdimensional trauma during that birth? Can you please clarify what you mean by interdimensional trauma during that birth? Clarify that, but I will answer the first part now. So how do we heal that root womb trauma of terror, loss, and attachment and resistance? Yeah, that's an amazing question. So, birth is a very traumatic experience in which we are pulled from that, the womb, in which, we've spent 9 months in the gestational phase, okay? And we are held and suspended in this, liquid substance. And we are the amniotic fluid. We are completely, we feel that we are in the physical body, but we haven't quite animated that and felt that until we come into birth. We haven't felt the contrast, the breathing into the lungs of this oxygen into the body. Okay, it's a completely different state. So this state, the little tiny fetus is mostly connected to the source. It's when you look at the source cord of a little fetus, the source cord is quite thick. It's a quite thick cord. And that light that comes in through the umbilical cord to feed and nourish the body, half of that is filled with white light. The other part of that is filled with the liquids and the foods that the mother is nourishing the child with. So the amount of life force that the mother sustains in her body during the gestation process will help the child integrate the physical better at the time of birth. But if we don't have that opportunity, the child has its own cord that it's directly connected to. The moment we experience traumatic experiences in the womb, whether it's emotionally through the mother, it slowly begins to fragment the perception of the child. The birth is the most traumatic because then it has to feel this violent, birth and the emotions of everyone. The child is highly, highly sensitive to everything around them. Everything is wide open. So in order to begin to heal this trauma, we have to go through a spiritual maturity of understanding these different evolutionary processes of birth and death. Okay, this very safe cocoon part of us has to go through a death, and from there we are emerging into a more fluid being, like a butterfly, that it moves from a very dense caterpillar into a cocoon, and then it has these very delicate wings, but it can experience so much freedom flying around. So in that same way, we're going through that metamorphosis into the most non-physical, and that's the whole purpose of our life as humans. We are experiencing going from the infinite non-physical into the densest physical, which is the traumas, life experiences, the most severe experiences of separation, back into the non-physical again. Okay, so the more the human gently matures and understands this process and integrates that, remembers that we are the soul, not the physical body, we can begin to integrate the parts of us that have disassociated from either the soul or the physical. Both of those have to be reintegrated. The attachment is let go in that concept, because all attachment will result in suffering. It's a very strict state of holding on, wanting to be supported by systems that don't support. Okay, so that has to be integrated in the body. Can you only heal the reptilian brain through the root? No, there's nothing really to heal in the reptilian brain, and I'm sorry, I hope I didn't sound like that. The reptilian brain is in charge of processing all of our survival mechanisms, which the human body needs. It's your fight, flight, or freeze. It tells you to, react the way that you do when a lion comes to eat you, right? So, or you're going to get hit by a car, to move out of the way, right? That is natural, instinctual information that is available to your body bioelectrically, biochemically. So there's nothing to heal. We just have to integrate the processes of those functions to serve us. And the human that is learning how to control this body, because you cannot control anything but this organism. Mm-hmm. And it's through the organism that you project your experience. So if you learn how to integrate the emotional body, if you learn how to regulate the emotions by healing trauma, by moving out of these split concepts of yourself back into integration, the human can begin to utilize the reptilian brain for its highest service. Okay? And The highest mastery of the reptilian brain is to turn into the highest form of discernment that's grounded and rooted in the physical, and discernment that's highly cultivated by gray matter in the brain, high conductivity, pineal gland, that then allows you to navigate higher dimensional planes from a place of grounded integration. So that's the higher level of the reptilian brain, and it's absolutely necessary for that process. Okay, because all of these systems of the brain, as you can see, they're intercommunicating. Okay, so one has to use the other. All of them are intercommunicating. As I mentioned to you before, all of your senses, the sensory systems of your body are all participating in the process of this physical body. We are seeing a lot more gender transitions. Is that deeply affecting root chakra? So this is a interesting topic because, you know, everything in this world, especially in the age that we are in this current moment that we're in right now, this time of the universe that we've all chose to incarnate, we are beginning a journey into the integration of humanity, the integration of humanity, the integration of the experience of being human. And we are going through ascension levels. Right now, we see things as separate, compartmentalized, and very dualistic. How that looks like for a human race that's learning unity consciousness is that gender is going to be confused, because we're a very immature human race in our understanding of our sexual energy. We're very immature in that, and it's because, you know, we've lost connection with ourselves, and our concepts of our sexual energy has been very inverted and manipulated. Okay, so we're learning what it means in the process of these transitions of gender that people are going through. The outcome of that in the next generations to come is that humans are going to understand that the holding of divine feminine and masculine energy is connected to the sexual organs, but it really has more to do with how we cultivate those energies. Okay, and that's something that's it's a different process. So we're kind of going through this growth spurt. It's like we're going through the teen years where we've entered puberty right now. The human race entered puberty. They're just getting to understand themselves and what they have in their body and how it functions. But the end goal of this is for the humans to understand life force, those primordial energies of the feminine and masculine, and the role that they play in our healing and our co-creation and how we navigate the world. So I think that it's part of this evolutionary process. I mean, the highest civilizations, they don't have gender, okay? Or they have both genders, actually. Both genders, which is a representation of the alchemical marriage. Okay, it's a representation of that alchemy. And we have both of those energies within us. We have to integrate and merge them. This is how each one of our sexual organs is utilized in the most harmonious way with this world, whether we are to bring life or whether we are to use this primordial energy for co-creation. There's different ways of using that. Okay. What if we have a family member that is narcissist? I was told before to hold high frequency and they will rise to me, but I noticed that they're getting anxiety because they can't hold it long and begin to avoid. Maybe I should leave them alone for a while so that I can hear my nervous system enough to be able to hold the higher frequency. Yeah, so we can never heal other people in this way. People will rise up in frequency in your family naturally when you're doing your work, but we have to make sure that that's not why we're doing it. And I completely understand, the circumstance. When it comes to personality types such as narcissism, it's a severe disconnect from the self. It is the service to self. It's absolute fear. complete operating from deep, deep fear. So this human, who is a victim of their own fear and their own perceptions, has to learn how to bridge that gap of deep insecurity, deep unworthiness, deep fear, in order to not act in a way that's completely self-serving. Okay, so all that you can do is to make sure that you are doing that work in yourself, you are fully integrating yourself, that you are healing your wounding so that you are not repeating any element of that in there. Because when we have it in the family, it's actually, it's a little more complicated. We actually tend to hold some of these subconscious traits within us. But we have to access what are those little subconscious traits that we have within us, because it's in our DNA. And we all have this, by the way, every single human, not just people that say that they do. It's everyone. And as we integrate these parts of us, we elevate our frequency and we exist as an example. Okay, but that's all we can do. We can also work on a higher level contractually, and this is my suggestion in this case, especially utilizing your crown in meditation. Shine your light on this individual. Take a look at the contract that you have. You need to understand what is your agreement, because we can save a lot of time and energy. Our job is never to heal someone or change someone, but we can understand what our agreement is, because most of us have many lifetimes with one another. And when we are brought into extremely traumatic families, it's because we have a lot of karmic ties to that individual that we've cultivated over many lifetimes. It's not just something that happened immediately. The invitation is, and we have to also understand that this individual that causes us the most challenge, actually, there's a soul contract. They provide a service to us. It is, in a way, a gift, and it's very difficult to see it that way. I completely understand, but they provide an opportunity for us to recognize this separation, this very clearly, and change that in us. So work on the contractual level, break that karmic contract so you can, and cut cords, always cut cords to begin to neutralize the connection. And normally that will allow you to sustain your energy. Always keep your energy in your space. With these kinds of relationships, we tend to cord really heavily onto the other person. So yeah, just check that out. Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much, guys. All right, so let's get into the meditation. Thank you for your incredible questions. And if you have more questions, just put them in the chat. Go ahead and get nice and comfortable. Breathing deeply. And allow yourself to ground down to the center of the earth. You're going to visualize a bodysuit of energy around your body. And go ahead and anchor down to the center core of the planet. Bring your awareness fully to your body. Imagine that you are perceiving the world from your heart. Just notice that state of consciousness. What does that feel like? What does that look like? From the state of your solar plexus. From the state of your sacral. from the state of your solar down to your root. Visualize the perception from the root. What does that look like? Go ahead and tune into your root chakra, and I want you to notice, what does it feel like? Remember that each one of the chakras is a sphere of your body. So notice if this root chakra is overactive. Is it huge and expanded? Is it underactive? What does the front look like? What does the back look like? Is one more open than the other? Is the front more open than the back? Vice versa. When you have trouble imagining a chakra, it means that it's blocked. So you're going to use your will and your imagination and bring your attention to that part of the body. Okay. It's good for you to understand what's happening with this sacral chakra, the root chakra. And we're going to go deeper. Go ahead and shrink the root chakra down to the size of a dime. Don't worry, by the end of this meditation, we will align it back into alignment. Go up into the sacral. Go ahead and shrink your sacral chakra down to the size of a dime. Go up into the solar chakra. Go ahead and shrink that chakra down to the size of a dime. Let's go up into the heart. Go ahead and expand your heart chakra. Being the center of coherence. Let's go up into the throat. Go ahead and expand your throat. Go into your third eye. Go ahead and expand your third eye. Let's go up into the crown. Go ahead and expand your crown. Fill it in with your creative color. Go ahead and visualize a bubble around your body. Make that bubble solid, one piece all around you. Repairing any holes and openings and tears that are in your field. Your field is your bubble. You are at the center of this bubble. And it's nice and completely connected all around you. You are grounded, you are protected, you are aligned. We're going to go deeper. Go ahead and bring from the center of the earth a powerful wave of green life force that comes rushing up into the body. If you fall asleep in your meditation, you're going to use gold for this part. Gold energy. Go ahead and bring gold or green from the center of the earth. Rotating at your center core. Go ahead and bring source energy, cosmic energy down and from the crown of the head down the spine, combining with the green or gold earth energy. Move that energy at the center core like a vortex, cleaning up your field, cleaning up all the thoughts, the stagnant emotions, the fears, the anxieties, the sluggish energy, the stagnant energy, pain, suffering. You're going to send it back down to the center of the earth. And at the same time, you're anchoring that gold energy into your body, into that vortex, and then down to the center of the earth. Take 80% of that energy from your center core up your spine, from the crown of the head, coating the outside of your bubble. You're going to take that final 10%, bring it into the body now as you absorb it into the pores, into the flesh, muscles, the bones, down to the cellular level. You're going to take that green and gold energy into the body now as you absorb into the pores, the flesh, the muscles, the bones, down to the cellular level. So let's go ahead and focus on the root chakra now. Take yourself back down, your attention to the root. And at the beginning of this meditation, you began to observe the imbalanced or balanced state of this chakra. Go ahead and connect with that chakra. I want you to be absolutely present with your root. And you'll notice that emotions will start coming up. Just go ahead and notice what emotion comes up, what emotion is there, whatever is most overactive and strongest, most recent, most present, that's what's going to come up. Notice any physical discomfort in the body that will indicate to you where you are holding this energy information, this emotional information in the body. Be very mindful to observe the different layers of emotions that arise. It's not just one layered emotion. There's many layers to these emotions. You're going to acknowledge each one of them. Go ahead and notice what is the strongest emotion that comes up here in the root. Be absolutely present with that emotion. Breathe through the emotions that come up. Notice if the front or the back of the body tends to be triggered by this emotion. And what you'll see is that a lot of memories will start coming up. I want you to maintain yourself grounded, maintain yourself with your first three chakras closed, top three chakras open, in order to have the most neutral possible observation of these events and memories that start to arise, emotions, insights, so that you can try to distill just the pure information from them. You're just going to gather the information that they are providing for you. We're not going to get stuck in the stories of what happened or the past, or re-traumatize yourself with these experiences and memories. Just observing in order to alchemize and release them. You are learning about yourself. Go ahead and take the strongest of those emotions, and I want you to take yourself back to the very first time that you experienced this emotion. Go ahead and observe yourself in this memory, in this event that comes up, in this emotion. If you don't have a memory, just only focus on the emotion. Okay, so let's say it takes you back to an emotion of, let's say, fear. Be absolutely present with that fear. Just notice what other emotions come up. They will tell you what you were feeling in that moment. That's all of this is recorded in your DNA. It's recorded epigenetically in the morphogenetic field. It's stored as bioelectrical markers in your body. So it's all available to you. You just have to learn how you access the information, how you process it. Just observe this event. I want you to focus on you. What did you feel in that moment? What emotions come up for you? I want you to notice the belief systems that were created by this experience. What beliefs did you create about yourself as a result of this emotional trigger? You're going to just ask yourself if you are still in alignment with these programs that were created then. I want you to notice how much impact has these programs have on your life. How have they participated in creating your personality, your career choice, partner choice, life choices, the way that you behave, present yourself to the world? Notice the fears that come up when you think of letting go of these belief systems. What would it look like if you were to change these belief systems for good? What would it require from you? And then as you begin to observe this, take a look at what you need. What do you need from others, and what do you need from yourself? In order to change this program. As you begin to identify what you need, begin to infuse yourself with this new understanding. Begin to see how your body responds, how it reacts. Notice reservations that come up, fears that come up, doubts that come up. Breathe through them. Acknowledge every emotion that comes up. Don't ignore any single emotion, even if it seems insignificant, or if you have a program that emotion is shameful, not good, sinful, unacceptable, not conscious enough. That is where you bypass your truth. You bypass your growth. So acknowledge every single emotion that comes up. This process helps cultivate your nervous system. It also teaches you to regulate your nervous system, your emotional body. It also results in the cultivation of self-worth and eventually self-love. Your ability to see your shadows is one of the most liberating and keys to your freedom and your ability to co-create. So go ahead and fill yourself with this new way of being. I want you to try it on, per se. I want you to fill your body with this new state of understanding, of being, of holding your energy, holding your emotions, thoughts about yourself. Notice how that feels, how the body adjusts and changes. If this was a color, what color would it be? I want you to see all your little fractals of yourself from the womb until now that have replayed this toxic program from the root, and you're going to integrate those parts by filling them and acknowledging them with this new understanding. You're going to watch them transform, see how they change in those many memories of yourself that have contributed to the imbalance of the root of our ability to feel safe, secure, grounded, embodied. As you infuse them with this color of understanding, fill yourself with this color of understanding. Go ahead and merge all these fractals of yourself in front of you. I want you to see all the people that have contributed to the creation of these programs of unsafety, of disconnect, of fear. I want you to see them in front of you. Just observe, what do they need in order to no longer play out these dynamics? What do they need from themselves? Just want you to notice that we become them because we repeat the same programs in our life again and again towards ourselves. Okay, so we are not separate from any of these beings that we see in front of us, as family, friends, partners, colleagues, acquaintances. Go ahead and allow yourself to shine your light on them. You're going to see a contract. Go ahead and dissolve that contract completely. You're going to see a bundle of sticks. You're going to break those sticks. I want you to inhale deeply, taking back your life force. Very good. As you dissolve this contract, break those cords, I want you to see all your fractals of yourself. And I want you to notice the ancestral lineage that goes down your family bloodline, your ancestry. How far back is this program in the family ancestry? How many generations are we repeating the same program? How many generations do we feel like we don't have a home, like we're not safe, like we can't sustain stability, that we have to exist and live in fear and survival? How many generations do we play out that role of victim, and we forego the creator, the one that anchors creation, that brings life into this planet? New life, new energy. How many of us feel that we cannot create energy or bring energy? Go ahead and fill all the fractals of yourself with this color, this information. See how they transform. Inhale deeply, taking back your life force, and exhale. Go ahead and inhale your fractals back into your body. As you let go of these ancestors in a conscious, neutral, loving manner. Very good. Go ahead and breathe deeply, integrating this part of you. We're going to start with the root chakra. Go ahead and open that root chakra back up. Wherever your blocks were in the chakra front and back, I want you to notice what is the blockage there. It's going to look like an image of something. It can be a picture, it can be an object, it could be an emotion, it could be a color, it could be a darkness, it could be heat, it could be cold. Just go ahead and tune into that. What is blocking your root chakra? And you're going to see it, that manifestation. Go ahead and allow yourself to see it clear. And go ahead and shine your crown light on top of this, and you're going to dissolve it completely. As you dissolve it, some of you might get images, emotions, thoughts, memories. Just observe them, acknowledge them mindfully. And once you're done removing this blockage, clear it out with golden light. And I want you to see your chakra, whether it's the front or the back, and if it's contracted and hard, or maybe invisible or non-existent, sorry, you're going to expand that chakra as if it were petals of a flower. You're going to expand it, opening it from the center out. Okay, expand that root chakra, front and back. And you're going to begin to bring golden light into that root chakra, healing it from the center out. You're going to begin to feel energy coming in through that part of your body. Nice and gentle energy. Okay, you're going to start feeling a rebalancing of your body. You'll also notice that your perception changes, your emotion changes. Okay, this is how powerful the chakras are. This is how we don't realize how much they influence our perception until you start clearing them. You're going to infuse that golden light into that root until it's crystalline. Whatever color you see down there, this clearing will activate a higher frequency, so you can just naturally see the color that emerges there without trying or to force any one color. And just let that body spin and move in the way that it needs to spin and move to clear itself. It has its own intelligence and intuition. We're just going to get out of the way in as much neutral point as possible. Breathe. Breathe life force into that root chakra. Go into the perineum and imagine a vortex of violet light underneath the perineum. And you're just going to gently remove the blockages that have been stagnant in the perineum. Usually they look like little black nests of energy, or maybe eggs of energy. You're just going to clear it out, gently alleviating out that space. Okay. Very good. Okay, you're gonna start feeling kind of like a rush of energy to the body now because things are opening up. So let's go ahead and open the sacral back up, the solar back up. Heart, you're gonna close it just a little bit. The throat, you're gonna close it just a little bit. The third eye. You're gonna go up to your crown. Go ahead and see the colors that you see here in the crown, activating the crown. Go ahead and illuminate this eighth, your relationship with your higher self and your relationship with source at the eighth. You're going to shine your light on top of all the karmic contracts of this life. Go ahead and see them underneath in a room in front of you. It could look like a closet or it can look like a stadium. Clear out that room. Expand your crown like a sphere around your whole body so that your main filter is from the higher self. Clear out that room, fill that room with your creative color. Go up into the 8th, 9th, activate the 9th, activate the 10th, the 11th, the 12th, the 13th, 14th. And above you is a powerful white light, a source. Go ahead and anchor that white light down into your body. In the 10th, you have the next connection of your root chakra. So go ahead and clear the 10th out. Very good. Go ahead and bring that white light down into your body, illuminating all the chakras, third eye, throat, heart, solar plexus, sacral, and root. And as you infuse your body with white life force, you're going to clear from the rest of the chakras all the little entanglements that have remained from the root, all the fears that are anchored into the rest of your chakra bodies. Clear them out. They're just going to dissolve pretty easily like little roots that have been left in the earth. Notice very refreshing energy that goes outside of your field, around the perimeter of your arms and chest. Clearing space, going down into the body. You're going to anchor yourself down into the center of the earth. Very good. Go ahead and open your eyes and come back into the room. And with your eyes open, I want you to continue to see if you can tune into your root chakra with your eyes open. Just go ahead and check in to see that it's moving nicely. Okay, the energy is fluid with your eyes open. You're going to see your rest of your chakras aligned. You are grounded, you are protected, you are aligned, and you're co-creating higher self and your source. Okay, excellent. You guys did amazing. Thank you so much for joining me today. I think I have one more question here from Chris, who says, "Hi Geraldine, I know you say we're supposed to cut cords, but it doesn't feel right to do this with my daughter. We have a very good relationship. Can you please explain why this would be beneficial to do this practice with our kids?" Absolutely. So you see, absolute love, real love, actually operates from a place of freedom and co-creation and a very balanced energetic exchange. That means no codependency, and it's an interdependency, and that energy is very light. Okay, But because we have a tendency not to clear our space, especially when we have children, we inherit a lot of these programs. And any dynamics that we might have with our children, challenges that we might have, it is heightening and reinforcing a lot of these programs. Those are cords. So the cords become really dense and thick. And then that's how we sometimes get into these programs that are really hard to break with our children. They trigger us, and we know exactly the parts that our kids trigger us in, right? And they will trigger that specifically. Okay, so there's some contracts here. Children are always made to help you evolve. You don't evolve on your own. Usually the human will have a child. The child will definitely make you evolve because you have to break those things. Okay, that's what that relationship is for. Okay, so the cutting of the cord is simply the real embodiment of unconditional love, where actually you release these unconscious old stagnant energy and you create neutrality. That way the child can grow into their own self, their own aspect of themselves. They can evolve that part of them. And you also take back your life force to create neutrality. Okay. So I hope this answers the question. So we are never disconnecting. Cutting cords, again, we are interconnected to absolutely everything. We're never separate from anything. Okay. So the cutting cords is just what's your intention for the exchange with this organism. So what happens is we fall asleep, and usually it ends up being a parasitic exchange. When you wake up consciousness, now your exchange becomes conscious, and that requires responsibility. You have to understand what you're sharing there. You have to be aware of that. Most of our connections are very unaware. We have no idea. We just do whatever we can and whatever we know. Okay, so that's really what it's about. I hope that answers the question. Thank you guys so much. It was an honor to be here with you. Burger noticed I was yawning a lot. Awesome. Burger, yawning is release. Release. Some people burp, some people yawn, some people even pass gas. Okay. There's no wrong. It's energy. Okay. And yeah, when you're in meditation, people do this. Okay. And sometimes people are ashamed of that. Sometimes people move around a lot. Okay. They just can't stay still. So depending on how your patterns of holding your own emotional stability have been since childhood, that's usually how you will process. And what I notice is people that are most disassociated with their bodies, they usually have these kinds of reactions, okay, because the body has been so stagnant in the body, they haven't released it in a long time. Excuse me, guys. Sneezing is another one, by the way, another release. Okay. All right. All right, guys. Love you so much. I just realized that I went live on my other channel. So the reason why this happened, because I couldn't go live on my other one. So I'll have to see what happened there. Maybe I got blocked, and I will put this on my other channel. So thank you guys for being there. All my